Well, howdy, greetings, friends and brother. I'm Teacher Marshall. I am a Christian contending for the faith, once delivered through all the saints. How you doing? This is for Erica, and Erica E has commented on Facebook, so we're going to compare his thoughts. I had responded to Jeremiah Nortier's video. He likes taking clips of members of Jesus' church and responding. Uh, so, so Erica E says, where does the Bible say musical instruments are not allowed? Well, you need to turn that question around to fear God. Where does the New Testament teach that instrumental music is by the authority of Jesus Christ? Nowhere. The evidence on that is sing, teach, admonish, whatever you do must be by the authority of Jesus. Instruments or not. So the real God figures, those who really fear God, will say, will not use, God didn't tell me not to, so I can do it anyway. Those who reverently fear God will, John 14:15, if you love me, keep my commandments, will keep his commandments, Ecclesiastes 12:13, and will be his friends by doing so. Matthew 15:14. Alright. Where does the Bible say musical instruments are not allowed? Well, by directly stating the use of acceptable worship music as singing that excludes any other music. We actually fear God enough to to give him what he asked for. More evidence on that, John 4:23 and 24. The hour is coming, and now is where the true worshippers must worship the Father in spirit and in truth. It's a must. Yes, there are false ways of worship. You can worship in error like those who offer vain worship. It doesn't reach God because God has not authorized it. You gotta reach God, and God just swats it down because He didn't ask for it. Those who fear God will actually keep His commandments, actually do what He said, instead of saying, well, God didn't tell me not to. You know what else God didn't tell you not to do? Smoky Burnouts for worship, or he didn't tell you you couldn't use beef jerky on the Lord's Supper. And you would say, oh, that's ridiculous. Yes, you understand this biblical reasoning. Okay, where does the Bible say musical instruments are not allowed in all the passages that says sing? Where does the Bible say kitchens and place of worship the church are allowed? It doesn't. And I don't believe in having a kitchen. We don't see that as a work of the church. Other brethren would disagree with me, but we don't see that as the work of the church, so it doesn't. Where does the Bible say sound systems in church are allowed? Listen, y'all. Really? It's these are expedient things. I mean, sound systems are not regulated. Songbooks are not regulated. However, the way we worship is regulated. He just said go out preach the gospel to every creature. If you need a interpreter to do that, have an interpreter. If you need a microphone to do that, use a microphone. If you need the internet like I'm doing right now, use the internet. What does the Bible say overhead projectors and church are allowed? Again, in the command to preach the gospel. That gives us authority to do whatever it takes, whether it is a microphone or overhead projector or over the internet. That command covers all the means because it's not regulated how. However, God has regulated how he wants to be worshipped. So you're comparing apples to oranges here. You're going off of things that are not regulated by things that are regulated. What's regulated is acceptable worship music. God says you can worship me this way, but God has not regulated how we are to preach the gospel. Therefore, therefore, we can do whatever we want in fulfilling that command. It's just not regulated. However, acceptable worship music is. He said, sing, teach, admonish. How we preach the gospel, what methods are not regulated. Okay, the Bible specifically says women aren't allowed to speak in church. Yes, that's right. In your non-denominational Church of Christ, no such thing exists. We are the Church of Christ if we abide in the doctrine of Christ. The Church of Christ cannot be a denomination or else it's not of Christ. It's not Christ's church to be divided. It is fundamentally against Christ to be divided. I want to take you over to John 17:20 through 23, and this is the Lord's Prayer for unity. He says, neither prayer for these alone, but all those who will believe on me through their word, that they may be one, just as you, Father, are me, and I in you, that they may be one in us, that they may believe that you love them and you have sent me. One, 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 one. That's the scriptural evidence. So yes, the Church of Christ does not do that. If they allow women to speak, they would not be the Church of Christ. They would be just another denomination rather than Jesus' church, because they would be defined from the divine pattern. So no, there are no churches of Christ that allow women to speak in public assembly. Uh, And so why are you going against what the Bible so clearly states? We're not thieves. Again, if women are speaking in the assembly, they are not the Church of Christ. They're not of Christ. They're not following, they're not abiding in the doctrine of Christ. 2 John 9 to have God. It's just that simple. If we abide in the doctrine of Christ, we are the Church of Christ. If we follow man-made manuals, creed books, man-made doctrines like Jeremiah and Jeremiah and Tradu were Calvinists or Reformed. If we follow the doctrine of Christ, that makes us Christians. Okay. And so why? Okay, do the women in the Church of Christ wear head coverings? Again, it's not my church, your Church of Christ. Again, Jesus built his church. It's not my church. No, because Paul explicitly states there in the text that that was a cultural thing. In 1 Corinthians 11, verse 16, he says, if anyone wants to be contentious over this issue, let them know that we have no such custom in the other churches. So what we learn there is that that was a cultural thing. We can say that by verse 16 there. Look look all the scriptures up that I'm telling you. Test me. Don't believe me. Believe the Bible. And so why are you not following what the Bible plainly states? Again, if anyone seeks to be contentious, 1 Corinthians 11:16, Paul says we have no such custom in the other churches of God. So that was a cultural thing. If uh, other brethren decide to do that, that is their liberty to. If they have different conclusions, this is a non-salvific issue. And if the culture calls for it, then we are to comply. So I've covered everything sufficiently. I'm CJ Marshall. I am just a Christian. I'm not a Protestant, evangelical, any of that mess. Just a Christian, a member of Christ Church, and I want you to be too. If you have more questions, comment on this video and I will make another response. Thank you for considering. God bless.